Hello and welcome to ScreenHour with me, Mikey.
With me, Kieran.
So, in typical Mikey and Kieran fashion, we're a bit behind, the curve of relevancy. But this doesn't, despite how good and worthy this TV show is worth talking about and reviewing. But we're going to be talking about the Amazon TV show Reacher, and it might be a bit late because I've only just finished watching it the last couple of weeks, and there's other things we wanted to cover. But I have a lot of good things to say about Reacher, and first and foremost, I'd recommend it. And funny enough, this could have been a convince me episode from a couple of months ago because Kieran's the one who convinced me to watch it.
Yeah, so I feel like with the other ones we've done recently, they're more sort of like go to the cinema to see them. Fortunately, with Reacher, they're it's on Amazon Prime, so you can watch it whenever. So it's not really time sensitive necessarily. So that's kind of our reasoning behind it. This one being a bit late. Um, but yeah, I watched it. I don't think I watched it when it first came out. I can't remember. Because I'm trying to think if it came out weekly, if it all dropped in one go. I'm pretty sure it all dropped in one go. But I don't remember watching it on the first week. I might have watched it the second week or something. It was like out for everyone to watch. But yeah, I quite enjoyed the films, the Tom Cruise films. I didn't think they were amazing films. I didn't think they were like Tom's best work, but they were enjoyable films. I was interested in the character of Reacher. But then this TV show, it's so different to the films, because it's more true to the books, to Lee Child's writing, and just watching the show, I sympathise a lot with Reacher, in the sense that he's also 6'5". Um, because there's a lot of
You
times
wish you were that Jack
like
because everybody else wishes there was Jack Jack. Fucking is that spectacular?
yeah, like spoilers. I'm not as jacked as our boy Alan, but yeah, like I'm as tall as him. And there's just offhand remarks every now and again that mentions about his height, and I was like, I've dealt with that. I've gone through that too, and it was just like really interesting watching it. Like it's really funny.
I get bullied for being a giant.
There's one particular bit where they're waiting at a train station for someone to drop off some information for them. And it's a bit of a precarious situation because if anyone knows about her dropping off the information, she could be killed, right? And they go to the train station and they're all like, "Where is she? We can't find her." And they're all like, "Maybe she walked past us." And Reacher just goes, "Nobody walks past me." Nobody misses me. And I'm like, it's true. The amount of times I'd just be walking down the street and be like, what's the weather up there? Or any shit like that all the time. Like, I remember when I've walked around with like ex girlfriends and stuff, and they're always like, oh, they were checking you out, they were checking you out. And it's like, they're not actually checking me out. They're just like, fucking hell, he's tall. That's all they're really doing. And it's just like, that's all the time. It's just like, you always, because my head's so far above everyone else's, I don't really get like eye contact with anyone. I'm just like looking over heads, right? But if I happen to look down, 9 times out of 10, I'll find the person's already looking at me.
Look at it, it's
Yeah.
big boss
And it's
now,
like,
look at
yes, woe is me. Like, it's not all about me, but it's it's a weird thing because it's just like, yes, I am this tall. Now leave me alone.
See, the funny thing is, the Tom Cruise Jack Reacher films have always been on my list to watch on either on Netflix or whatever, because they do just look like half decent action films,
Yeah,
and you don't, you got to be hiding under a rock to a degree. You know, they get took the piss out of. I know the Jack Reacher books and Jack Ryan for that matter. Those type of Tom Clancy, Lee Child books are I think I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Screen Junkies or just someone on Twitter saying they're the type of book your dad picks up at the airport, type of thing.
yeah,
But
yeah. I can see that.
I can't take credit for that joke. But that's just they've been around. They're very much in pop culture. And as I said, part of me thinks I missed the boat. I should have watched the Tom Cruise one. But by all general consensus, whether it's you or whether it's the internet in general or media, this incarnation of Jack Reacher is far more better because it's more accurate to the books. And number one, like a lot of the people say, is that he in the books is meant to be 6'5", he's meant to be an absolute tank, and
Yeah.
Alan Ritchson really is. What's funny is that I remember I've watched a few interviews, and probably you have, because we both like the actor.
Yeah.
And he said there's not many times for a role, because he's quite a big guy anyway, like in the other things he's seen. Like, for instance, one of the reasons I like him so much, and I think Kieran introduced me to this, or I think it might have been one of my friends at uni.
I think it was Tom. I think it was Tom at uni.
Yeah, Tom at uni, is that he was in a, like, basically it's called Blue Mountain State, and I think that was on Netflix. I don't think it is anymore, because I tried to watch it recently, and it's essentially this American football team at university. And the best way I can describe it, and it is hilarious, it's like the American Pie films if there's a TV show.
Yeah, it's very like obnoxious and very everything's over sexualized, and there's like just drinking, alcohol, drugs. Like, it's not something you'd probably watch with your parents. You know, it's not.
I concur there.
You know, it's not something. To be fair, I don't think it's something I could recommend.
Like, I definitely think it's worth watching. It's funny and weird.
It's funny and watch it with the boys, you know, or with the girls, but you don't really necessarily, you know, like, oh, I want to go back home and put on some good telly. That you don't put that on.
It's not a gritty crime drama or a mystery drama, but
yeah,
the reason I bring it up is he's in that he plays like one of the main characters, and he's a buffoon. Like, he's a funny buffoon who has some, like, I don't even want to say heartfelt moments. He has showed some vulnerable moments, but I'll give you type of
I mean, he's the ultimate jock, basically.
He's the ultimate jock, but I'll give you type of vibe that the TV show is. That the moment where he shows vulnerability is when he loses his pocket pussy. He calls it. That's when he starts crying. That's when his character starts crying. But he's also a machine in that he's jacked, and in a lot of the interviews, he's saying it's not very often they ask him to bulk up.
Yeah.
They're turning him to, like, slim down a bit. But as I say, in Blue Mountain State, he's a totally different character.
I mean, the other heartfelt moment in Blue Mountain State is when because basically I can't remember what was his real name.
Chad, and his real name is Chad.
No, it's not. It's not Chad. It's something else. I think it's like Kevin, or something like that. And they were like, "Wait, I thought your name was Thad." And he goes, "No, my name's not Thad. It's just when I was younger, I had a lisp, and something bad happened to me, and I was like, I am sad, right?" And everyone was like, "Oh, you what? You're sad?" And then he decided, instead of to stop people from bullying him, he decided to own the name and
wear it like armor, like
yeah, I am Thad, right? And that just became his name. So that wasn't actually his proper name. His proper name was Kevin or something. I think it was.
Yeah, it's Kevin. You're right. I just looked it up now. You know.
Yeah.
Fast internet here in the old Wales, but yeah, Kevin Fad Castle.
Yeah, fair. That moment actually sold his character for me, because he was always just loud, obnoxious, and irritating, and I think that scene really, like, changed my perception of him. And then obviously watching the show a second time round, like, I sort of saw a different side to him. You know what I mean? So I sympathised with his character more. But I've seen Alan Ritchson in so many different things now. It's like, I don't want to say cameo roles. They're technically just minor roles in lots of different things. I mean, he was in New Girl for a couple of episodes. I mean, he did DC Titans on Netflix.
Yeah, he's in Titans. Titans is probably one of my favourite things he's in.
Well, Reacher's my favourite thing he's in, technically.
Titans is really good. It's probably just because it's a DC thing, but yeah, Reacher's my favourite thing he's in. And again, like, as you say, he's in minor role. And I look back on this now, but I didn't know him as, like, the actor as I appreciate him is now. But he plays a bad guy in Hunger Games Catching Fire.
That's it, yeah. That was the other one I was trying to think of.
He voices Raphael in the, like, Michael Bay Turtles.
That's the one with Steve, isn't it?
Stephen Amell. Yeah, Stephen Amell's in, like, one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting for us because, like, we've kind of seen Alan's career blossom before our eyes, because, you know, we were watching him in Blue Mountain State, and now all of a sudden we're watching him in Reacher, and he's getting, like, his justice of the ability of an actor that he is. He's not just, you know, like this stupid jock, that he's like this really smart, buff motherfucker.
Exactly. He seems to be getting more and more appreciated, which is good, because he seems like such a sound bloke.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what else is in.
Nice bloke.
And like looking at his IMDb now, it's reminded me, and he actually smashes it. He's only in one episode, but I don't know if you've got this far. Is he plays young Scully in Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yes, he does. Yes.
But that's our our appreciation of the good old Jack Reacher himself. As usual, we go through like a bit of an overview of the series itself, and then we go into more spoilers. But a lot of like one of my favourite things about it is its use of making Jack Reacher a badass and very capable. But
he's technically brains.
Yeah, that's what I like about
brawn.
it. You see him use his detective skills, and he doesn't like, despite his size in it, as we've discussed now, like brutal his fighting is, which I really love. I'll talk about that in a bit. How much I love the fighting and directing it. But he's not a bull in a china shop. He's always thinking when he goes into stuff. And he's always like, before he even starts throwing fists or a lot of time blocking, he's clocked what's happened before, what's led to this. His observation skills are mad. And something like one of our other like TV shows like we both really like is Arrow. And as much as I love Arrow, like one of its like main like story plot like framing devices is like the flashbacks. And I think the flashbacks in Reacher are done really well. They're done like very subtly. There's not that much of them.
They're necessary for the story. They're not just there for the sake of having a flashback.
Yeah, 100%.
A little fun fact, actually, the actor that plays Reacher's dad is a guy my mum went to school with.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's a really random fact, but there you are. Can't remember his name. But yeah, she said he was a really nice guy at school. And I was like, did you date him then? And she was like, nah. And I was like, yeah, you fucked it there, Mum. He could have been my dad.
Poor Mark. Get him wrecked in his own ass. But no, it's not like you go through the TV show constantly feeling sorry for Reacher or anything like that. But you like what's good about a decent flashback is that it shows you relevant stuff to the relevant storyline. Otherwise, what's the point of the flashback?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it does well. And I like for a lot of it is. This is very light spoilers because you find this out in the first episode. But a lot of like Reacher's motivations throughout the most of the series is number one, he's a sound guy, so he wants to do the right thing and he's capable of like amending things. But the main one is
that's a big spoiler actually, so I'll have to edit that out because that's actually massive especially for the show because you don't really know where the show's going. Yeah, well I'll save that little bit for later. but in a nutshell, basically. Reacher is a traveler. He doesn't have a home. He just lives in the clothes on his back. He only buys from thrift stores or whatever, and he just roams to town to town to town. And he rocks up to this place called Margrave.
Margrave, yeah.
And he's basically there because of a jazz singer that he somewhat idolizes. And he did some concerts and stuff there, so he wanted to go to this place to, see what the place was all about and try and get some records or whatever. And then while he's there, he tries to order a pie.
Peach pie, yeah.
Peach pie, and he ends up getting arrested because someone was recently murdered in the town, and he's, a traveller, no one knows anything about him, and he's come out of the woodwork basically, and everyone wants to know who the hell this guy is. And then it's kind of like a whodunit in a way. Everything just slowly unravels. When I say everything slowly unravels, I actually mean it does very slowly unravel. Like the end of each episode, you do get like a bit of a closure or you get a bit of a key point, but it's very, very methodical in how it explains things. And it's not very sort of, holding your hand or spelling it out to you. They sort of let you as the viewer try and understand it with Reacher.
Yeah, I think this is like the utmost compliment because I think it's Stallone's best film. Is the first episode and maybe the second episode gives me very strong Rambo First Blood vibes.
Oh, I totally see that. Totally, yes.
And he's a drifter, he's a veteran, he's sound, he's accused wrongly. It's a very small town. The sheriff's a dick. It's yeah, and it's yeah. As I said, it's utmost compliment. I feel, and it's a very reinforced. The entire show is very reinforced that Margrove is a small town with a lot of good people, but a lot of shady people. But
Mm.
what is made a big deal is, as Kieran says, is this new guy, and as we've touched on, you can't miss him. Comes into town, something bad happens, and because he's a new guy, everybody else knows bloody
Yeah.
who they go to school with. And if you never went to school with them, bloody hell, they're a stranger,
Yes.
or they're not your neighbour. Bloody hell, who are they? They're OP.
It's a bit like Hot Fuzz.
Oh, very much, yeah.
Yeah, it's like everyone in the town is in their own little cult. So everyone's scratching each other's back because everyone's doing some shady business left, right, and centre, right? And because it's such a close knit town, nobody on the outside understands what's going on, right? So when a stranger does come in, a drifter comes in from the outside, it's like we need to protect what we've got. The greater good.
For a greater good. As Kieran says, what I really like about it is it doesn't give too much away too quickly. The action, it's it's believable. It's not too far. It's it's brutal, and it's a lot of it just makes sense. Like the only thing that
What's
doesn't make sense to me is, and I know it'll be a boring show if this happened, is like I'm not like a beast of a guy. I'm 6'2". I'm like kind of athletic or whatever, yeah. But like you look at me and then you look at some people or whatever. But like in real life, you look at certain people and like you go, fucking hell, didn't know how to handle himself if he kicked off, yeah. And Alan Richardson, Jack Reacher in this, the amount of people which would like just look at him or as when he got up, and it happens once in the show, I think, and they just bottle it. They won't have a fight with him. And like, admittedly, if that happened all the time in the show, it'd be a boring as fuck show. It'd just be people going, "Fuck, I ain't throwing a punch at him."
yeah.
Fucking huge, like. But in real life, that's what would happen.
Well, if you recall, when you watched Mission Impossible, where Tom Cruise fights not Tom Cruise fights him. Well, I mean he does fight him, but Henry Cavill and the the decoy of what's he called? John Lark, the decoy in the toilets and having that fight scene. I remember you saying like we both really enjoy the film. It's a brilliant film, right? But I remember you saying like if Henry Cavill's coming at you and he's gonna smash you with them fists, I don't care who you are, you're going down, right? And the thing in Reacher is he's I dare say he's built more than Henry Cavill, right? But when he hits someone, they go down. It's not like movie magic where it's like they've got the same strength even though he's clearly different. It's like Dwayne Johnson taking on Kevin Hart. You know what I mean? It's like if they fought in a film, they'd be evenly matched. But in real life, who's gonna win? Obviously, Kevin Hart. but but yeah, in Reacher, like he goes up against the people. If they're as big and strong as him, they'll take those punches. But if they are, proverbially weaker than him, he'll fucking wreck them. And 9 times out of 10, he does.
He does.
And that's another little thing that you need to give credit to for this show is that just those little details just accumulate to loads of a better viewing experience. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, better viewing experience, and like it just hooks you. You don't. I think sometimes when things are too far fetched and fantastic or whatever, and a bit mad, yeah, it's all right if the rest of the narrative universe or like the environment they've set up in that TV show or film or game leans into it. Like, you know, you expect Superman to fly. It's established that he's an alien and it's in the comic book universe. Like, you expect magic in the Lord of the Rings, but like in Reacher, like it's very like it's a grounded show, and like there's grounded fighting in it, and like it's not particularly far fetched, but if you had like this grounded TV show, and then all of a sudden Alan Richardson punches a bloke and he just shrugs it off, who's like 4'2", like like a stripper piece, as my father would say. And he's just taking it, and that's not what happens, to his credit. Is the only, I don't know. Before we get into like spoilers territory, there's not really many negatives I'd say about it. I am struggling.
I think it's somewhat progressive as well. I think the trouble with a lot of things that come out now is they try to be too woke and too progressive. That it's way too obvious, and it's a bit like they're trying to appease a certain market type rather than just doing what's right for the show and being sensible. You know what I mean? Whereas this, I mean, there's a bit in particular when Roscoe's place. So Roscoe is the deputy sheriff.
Deputy sheriff.
Yeah, and she basically she's working with Reacher to resolve the case basically, and her house gets broken into, right? And Reacher's like, "Oh, I'll stay here and look after you," sort of thing, and well, and she was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I don't need you to look after me. This is my job. This is what I do for a living. No fucker's gonna come and try and terrify me and try and victimize me or whatever. I'll beat them as much as they think they can beat me, and that's all it needed, just to be like, women don't need a savior all the time. You know what I mean? They were progressive, but they weren't like really throwing in our faces. It was just like it just felt natural and it fit, if you know what I mean.
A bit of a backhanded compliment to piggyback off what you've just said is, honestly, one of my favourite strengths about this is the dynamic between him. I forgot his name, which is terrible of me. I'll look it up now.
The detective.
The detective from Boston, and Roscoe. It's their free dynamic.
Finley.
Well done, man, bro. You actually got it. Finley, Roscoe, and Reacher is what carries it. And
yeah.
I think we could have done with a bit more Roscoe, because what we get of her is great.
Yeah.
She's really capable. She's funny. Most lines she has are really witty, and she absolutely smashes it whenever she's on screen. And what's really good about it is their relationship and their working relationship, progressives, doesn't jump too much, in the sense that
she's not a love interest.
Well, she's not a love interest, which is what I quite like.
Yeah.
But also, Reacher is a stranger, and he's treated like that. And at first, like I said, he's very treated as a bit defensive they are. And their friendship and relationship grows. It's not doesn't jump it's not too far fetched.
Yeah, I absolutely agree there, to be fair. And what I like as well with Finley is how I mean they've all got their own past that is relevant in some way to the case. How everything comes together, because one of the saddest things I think for me at the end of the series is that obviously Reacher resolves the issues and he moves on, because that's what he does. He's a traveler. So we're not going to see Finley or Roscoe again, potentially. They might do an episode appearance or something, or he'll have a phone call with them or whatever. But because of the nature of Reacher's character, as he's a traveller from town to town, and I'm assuming, season 2, I don't know if it's been greenlit for a season 2. I mean, it should be.
I am looking at IMDb now as we record, and
yeah,
it was announced in February 2022 that the show has been renewed for a second season, which is good.
Yeah, but he's going to be in a new town. He's going to meet a new bunch of shady individuals, and he's going to figure out who he's going to work with. What would be nice? I mean, I haven't read any of the Lee Child's books, or there's no real correlation to the Tom Cruise films to these ones, so there's no real guessing for me where it's going to go next. But it'd be interesting in the next one if the cops that he's working with are actually the shady ones, and the people in the town are the ones that aren't, or something. So because you don't want to be, he's always able to rely on the one person in the cop department. You don't want that dynamic to be something that happens in every season.
And also, will they hold a candle to the good president, which is set as the
Yeah.
we're just.
Yeah, because you don't want it to be too much of a repeat of, oh, this is Roscoe 2.0, this is Finley 2.0, season 3, this is Roscoe 3.0 and Finley 3.0. You know, so I don't quite know where they're gonna go with it, but they did an amazing job with the first season, so I imagine the second season shouldn't be.
Alright,
Yeah, they shouldn't fuck it that hard.
So we're going to spoilers now.
Yeah, we'll go straight into spoilers then.
Which I may or may not have spoiled already.
Yeah, we can add your spoiler in then now.
First things first, as you say, I like how it drip fed stuff, and Kleiner, you know, it's I presume you saw it coming as on, like, you know, I don't want to sound big headed, sound very pretentious here. We both saw it coming, I imagine. And I imagine we sound like quite know-it-alls. But I saw that Kleiner was going to get killed. I didn't, but again, you know, backhanded compliment. I saw that Kleiner was going to get killed. I didn't see it was going to be by his son.
No.
And I thought that was really good. The guy who plays his son is an utter dick. He absolutely smashes the role. He has a very punchable face.
Yeah, he does.
He's incredibly smarky. You believe that he's very easy to make, like, wind you up and make you angry, but he believes that, like, you know, he could do some harm as well. Not necessarily to Reacher, well, he does to a degree, but he's a dick. Also, like, what's done well is that he winds you up because he's threatening and being a dick to Roscoe. But like you've rightly pointed out in non-spoilers, Roscoe's far from a damsel in distress. Like when she's saving Lorna Lang, like the money, like the accountant wife, Lorna Lang. That's the reason I say Lorna Lang. She was in Smallville, since she played Lorna. But I can't remember her name. But is it Hobbs? What's the accountant called?
I honestly can't remember. Hobbs sounds right. Someone's called Hobbs.
Not off Hobbs and Shaw. I'll have a look now. But he's good. I like how, like, you're like, oh, is it, like, admittedly he's not a very capable fighter or anything like that, especially when he's in prison. But you learn that, like, you know, he got himself into this, like, as well, as the series goes on. I don't know, I think they're right, you know, a lot of it really does fall into place.
Yeah, so he arrives in town and he realizes his brother had recently been in the town, and he was like, oh right, my brother was here, sort of thing, and he's trying to figure out, like, you know, who spoke to his brother and all that jazz, and why was his brother in the town, where could his brother have gone to now. And then as they're trying to figure out who this dead body is, because it's a John Doe, right? And then when they get the medical reports back and Reacher sees them, Reacher just starts like saying he's got this problem because of this, he had this problem because of that, blah 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 blah. And you don't immediately realize, right? But because he's going into such detail of reading off of how this guy had all these problems, it's like, wait, fucking knows this guy, right? And then you're like, wait, no. And he goes, this guy was my brother, right? And you're like, holy shit, his brother was fucking murdered, right? And then from that point on, it's all about trying to figure out why was his brother murdered, and more importantly, who murdered his brother. Because it's, you know, it's somewhat vengeance, but at the same time, he's trying to catch the killer to stop them because there's other bodies being dropped, and there's other nefarious things going on. But that's the initial motivation. That's it. Yeah, the motivation for basically the entire season is trying to figure out who killed his brother.
I think, as I say, what's good about that is he's doing it because he's a good guy. But like the motivation to look for him to go to the nth degree is because it's also vengeance. Like he says, like in the back of a car. He says, I'm going to kill every goddamn last one of them. He's like related to my brother's death.
Yeah. And it's interesting as well, because in the flashbacks, you know, his brother always looked out for him. Reacher was always the more capable one, always the one that sometimes he'd go too far with things to let people know that they can't push him or his brother around. But his brother was always the one that took the shit for it, because his brother was like, you know, I can't let my little brother take.
It was the one who took the fall.
Yeah,
Because ironically enough, they both. There's this poor Down syndrome lad, and the rest the kids were like tearing him and getting him to dance, and they like stuck up for the Down syndrome lad.
yeah,
Didn't they? Like, and they like basically they slap fuck out of like the boys.
yeah. Absolutely fucking battered him.
That's done really well as well. Not like you should like enjoy child violence, but yeah, I think like that's done very tastefully.
To be fair, dickhead little kids deserve to be beaten the fuck out of, like, by other little kids. But I mean, it's funny to watch because they fucking deserve it. Kids are the worst. I mean, adults are no better, but kids are just the worst.
So I say how good like the fighting and the choreography is. There's a scene in particular which comes straight to mind where his he's in the prison. The prison shower scene's really good. That's absolutely jokes, and he's just smashing them about. What I really like is the writing before. He always makes like a snappy like remark, and it's not like a Marvel film like he's making quips like left, right, and centre. But he always threatens people or like just before he's about to do something. Not always like it gets like an overkill.
Yeah.
But I remember he says about this guy comes into his bunk and he just absolutely mugs him off. He says, "You want to get out of my bunk?" He's like, "Well, I wouldn't want to do that." And he just says, "Before I smash your teeth in," or something. He just like says something similar to that, and he just absolutely wrecks him. Like House Invasion is good. Do you remember that bit? The House Invasion in Night. That's it. I found the account Hubble, the accountant when he comes to Hubble's house.
Hubble, yes.
Yeah, when he comes to Hubble's house, and he's got like the camouflage.
Oh god, yes. That is sick. I love
And he
that.
takes it in, like, and it's like a stealth mission off, like, like an early days COD or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like really, like,
But he full on does the paint. He does the paint under the eyes, doesn't he?
yeah, just the counter paint under eyes, and he takes them out one by one.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
I mean, when you're talking about the fight scene in the prison, in the toilets or the showers, right? You're watching that, and all you're seeing is Reacher's gone into. He battered this fella. Why did he beat up the guy with the glasses? I can't remember.
He comes into his cell, doesn't he? And Hubble's in his same cell because they're in the same holding cell. Well, he's in the same, like, they're in Gen Pop and they shouldn't be in Gen Pop.
That's it. They're in Gen Pop. They shouldn't be in Gen Pop. Then, I think the guy, does he break his glasses?
Yeah.
Right, breaks his glasses, but then Reacher steals another guy's glasses. Right, so then they go into the showers, and then these guys come in and they start beating the shit out of Reacher. Right, basically trying to kill him. Right, and then Reacher obviously just decks them all like absolute martial arts master sort of thing. And then we only find out like, I don't know if it's the same episode or the next episode, we actually find out that the thugs were sent to beat up the guy in glasses, right? So Hubble was meant to be the guy in glasses, but they broke. Reacher stole the glasses off this other guy, right? And he started wearing them thinking he looked cool. So that's why these guys beat him up with the glasses. So they weren't actually meant to beat up Reacher. They were meant to beat up the guy in the glasses, which was meant to be Hubble. And it's like, just watching it first time round, that means nothing. He just stole some guy's glasses because he thinks he looks cool, right? But everything has a knock-on effect, and it's how Reacher then realizes later on, like, wait, they were after the guy in the glasses, and then you get like I don't know if you get a flashback or, you get the sort of realization where he goes, wait, Hubble was meant to be the guy in the glasses, and it's like, wait, why were they trying to kill Hubble? Nah, it's because Hubble was the accountant for this for all this fraudulent activity. They were trying to silence him, and then it's another can of worms, and then it just keeps going on like that with loads of different things.
I think, like you said, the writing feels very deliberate. But
it's very thoughtful.
It doesn't spoon feed your answers. It doesn't patronise them, which is nice.
Yeah.
One of the other like low key twists I liked because it wasn't. It was just the guy who was like, "I'm following the money," and it was like Picard. He was Finley's mate from like the training.
Oh, I kind of saw that one coming.
I kind of saw that coming, but I liked how like non-apologetic it was. Yeah. I like how literally when he's fighting Finley, he's like, I thought he was my friend, like he says to him or whatever. And Picard just literally just turns around and he says, "Yeah, I told you not to go for the job. It's just so matter of fact.
Yeah.
And he's like not pretending to be a good guy. It's just like, yeah, fuck it, I'll get loads of money. Like, he's like, I'm a dirty cop. I'm a dirty FBI agent.
Yeah. And it's as Reacher says, it's all in the details. That's like his catchphrase. The details matter, right? And it's right, because if you watch the show again and you look at every little detail, everything means something as well. So it's like that added level.
Speaking of like all the little details, especially because, you know, apparently screenwriters and showrunners of Amazon's shows and pretty shameless people have this in common, but they're using dogs to like get the audience and people to sympathise. Is that like bit with a dog and like the owner's like treating him really poorly? I think like you like, especially to be fair, I've got a lovely cute little dog, but like that even goes for even more for me. Like I feel for that more so. Is that as an audience, you know, he takes care of the dickhead guy who's not looking after his dog, and starts looking after the dog. It's such a like, it's not lazy, right? Because like as I say, like it's everybody empathises for like, you know, who doesn't love a cute animal. But as you say, details matter. It does that, and it's like just a nice way to build up Jack Reacher and Finley for that matter.
Yeah,
I like Finley. I like that. What I like both about Finley and Roscoe is it's very evident that they wouldn't be able to, like, the show's called Reacher. They wouldn't be able to solve the problem without Reacher. But they're not dumbasses.
No, they're very capable.
They're very capable, and their dynamic of the three of them works well. They they already cotton onto things a lot of the time. They like sort things out before Reacher works them out, or they tell Reacher that information.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and goes, "Oh, thanks for that," or declocks on to something else because he's using them.
Yeah. Yeah, like they you know, there'd be a chance that they would be able to, you know, solve the case themselves. But because Reacher's there, he's kind of like their inside man, because he has the intel, because his brother was the, you know, the body that they found. So, you know, they've got that sort of it's not necessarily witness, but it's, you know, when someone dies, you normally get in the immediate family to talk to them, to question them, to see about what happened in the life and stuff. Is anything shady, this, that, or the other? You know, and that's kind of what they do with Reacher, except they let Reacher tag along, reluctantly at first, actually, but then they decide to keep, because he's a suspect number one, but he wants to also clear his own name, so they reluctantly allow him to help them with the case, and it simultaneously allows him to find his brother's killer, to get his revenge, but also clear his own name.
And it just unravels from there in such a, in a positive manner type of thing. Yeah, Finley's backstories, you know, dealt with well. Roscoe gets a good backstory. Everybody's pretty fleshed out. I couldn't recommend it enough. And the other thing I would recommend it for, and this is quite a broad point, is that whether this is because I feel like there's not enough time, hours in the day in general, and, you know, dare I say, doing quite a cool podcast, you know, to be honest, and we want to cover as much topics as we can, is that there's only 8 episodes, I think there's 8 or 9 episodes, and it's tight. It doesn't kick the arse out of it.
No, it doesn't make like 22 episodes for first season for the sake of making 22 episodes. It makes the necessary amount of episodes.
Excuse me, there's 9 episodes.
9. Which is an odd number, to be fair. I mean, it is an odd number.
It's usually 10 or...
Yeah, but it's like 8 or 10, yeah.
It's cushy. It feels right, and when the end episode isn't, I don't know, it doesn't wrap up stuff too quickly. There doesn't seem to be many lulls or anything like that.
And not everything is totally wrapped up. There's still some things that are left unanswered, but they're deliberately left unanswered for you to explore them with Reacher in the next season.
Yeah.
You know, because otherwise, because that's the other thing as well. It doesn't actually wait until the last episode to reveal all the information. How 90% of other TV shows do. You know, you've waited 21 episodes, right, of the whole build up, right, and then it's in the last episode, in the finale episode of the season, where you get all your answers. you're actually getting answers in every episode leading up, right? And sometimes the answers you get actually turn out to be wrong or whatever. But it's sort of like the last sort of 3 episodes, you're starting to get more of a clearer picture. It's just the finale is about him getting his man. So we've got the information. It's about him getting his man.
If I remember correctly, to really concur with what you just said, it's episode 9. Or at the start of episode 9, I think it's when like Picard takes him as hostage, and he's like, "You've got to go find Hubble," and then it gets Hubble in like it was like the first quarter of episode 9, loses Picard, and then episode 10 is like you say, it's like sorry, episode 10. Episode 9, the very final episode, is like physically when stuff goes down. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. I can't, as I say, I'm not saying as like as just reviewing something you should really look for negative things. We kind of should to give it a full critical response.
Yeah.
But I can't see anything really. I'm not saying it's perfect. But,
no, it's not. Like...
I'm not saying nothing really is. But yeah. I can't think of much.
I mean, apart from The Boys, it's. I mean, The Boys isn't my favourite show I've ever seen, but Reacher is on par with The Boys for me. They're both really good, enjoyable shows.
Yeah, I 100% agree. By the looks of things as well, it's quite interesting. Like I just having a read up before and like before we started recording and having a look at the IMDb and stuff. The trivia mentions that this is based off Lee Child's first book, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
The first season.
Is it called Killing Floor, I think?
That's it, Killing Floor. And then the second one, for some reason, based like a lot further along in the book series, in the franchise, is like book 18 or book 15. I had a look just.
What season 2 is going to be on?
The second series will be based on book 11, Bad Luck and Trouble. Now then Reacher will be back as Reacher and Maria Stern will be back as Neely. Neely's cool.
Oh
well.
yeah.
I like Neely.
Yeah, she's a character that is someone from Reacher's past. She was part of his squad back in the army, and she's now like a hacker, basically, and she lends her skills to Reacher for a bit as he's trying to figure out. Was it trying to figure out where the money was going or something like that?
That's it. Yeah, to find the quote unquote digital footprint.
Yeah, so like with her character, we might get that with Roscoe and Finley in the next seasons.
Yeah, so she's set to return for season 2, and I'm glad it's renewed for a season 2. But my thing with Prime, I haven't watched everything they've got admittedly. I haven't I need to continue watching Mr. Robot. Mr. Robot's good. I need to watch Jack Ryan. You recommend it, and Invincible.
Yeah.
It's despite me just saying the ones I need to watch. They haven't got a lot on there, and but I think every now and again they do have something really good. Whether it be The Boys, or whether it be Reacher, they do have some really good stuff.
Yeah.
But that's our thoughts on that. Swing into moment of the week. My moment of the week is it's not so much like a moment in a single episode or something. It's more of a sizzle reel for upcoming episodes. I like to say. On top of that is when I get into a game or a TV show, I really get into it, and I quite like the theme. So, for instance, recently I've started playing Dying Light 2, and so's Kieran because it's got a cool car, which we've been doing. And as I say, when I get into something, I really get into it. And I also started watching again The Walking Dead, and I forgot how The Walking Dead has some really good, some of the best TV show episodes I've ever watched has been Walking Dead episodes. But some of the most boring episodes of TV have also been Walking Dead episodes I've watched. It's such a mad thing And what I've really enjoyed, and this is the reason I mention it for my moment of the week, is binge watching him. So I haven't watched him since like basically a season and a half ago. So I've got something like 18 episodes to watch, nearly 20. And what I'm really enjoying is not so much like one episode or in particular, is what it used to suffer from. And I was talking to Kieran about this. Is that, like I say, like it's the dip in quality of each between one episode to the next, and the cliffhangers it will leave you on, and you'll have to wait weeks. I'm just enjoying binge watching them because they're all on Disney Plus. Now, you can watch a really good episode, and then the next episode you watch and you just think, oh, bloody hell, that's all right. But you're not suffering that much. You know, first world problems, I know suffering. But like back in the day, when you're watching it weekly, there's a load of bullshit, like.
Yeah.
Because you'd finish on one cliffhanger. This is like spoilers from nearly 5-6 years ago. So there's like back in the day, there was an episode where one of the main characters, his beloved character, who ends up dying anyway, is you think he dies and he gets devoured by zombies, and it turns out that he hid under the dumpster. But when that happened, when he got aired, so you had his cliffhanger, and then there was another episode totally unrelated to that character's fate. And then a week later, it showed his fate. But now with this admittedly, again, that was like 5 years ago. There's none of that shit when you binge watch it, and I think it just shows you the state of like how spoilt we are. This is more like more of a commentary, I don't know, on TV and streaming now. But it shows you how spoilt we are when you watch stuff now.
So back in the day, there used to be, you'd watch an episode, and then it'd just be everyone be like on the forums and everything discussing what could happen next, what did this mean, what did that mean, and it really sort of like built up anticipation and excitement. And then when it was a shit episode, it really ruined the ratings of the show, and like everyone was pissed off for like weeks, and then you'd have another good episode, and it was like everyone's, oh, the show's back, it's brilliant again, and it's like it really sort of built more of a shock and awe sort of thing around TV shows. But now we've just binging everything. I mean, there's so many memes I've seen where it's like, do you want to watch a 4-hour movie? And you're like, nah. Right, the Drake meme, and it's like, do you want a 4-hour movie? It's like, nah. And do you want to watch like 10 episodes, 1 hour each episode, binge it all in one session? And it's like, yeah, please.
Yeah, it's like 10 hours of Netflix, or do you want to actually like go to the films and think, like go to the cinema and think Batman's too long? Like it's like for instance, it's the hype it builds around. So I'm looking forward to, like, I know Kieran's not into it at all really, but like Cobra Kai, the new season of Cobra Kai comes out next week, and I'm like, yeah, Kieran's laughing at that. And I fully agree, like, it's so corny in a lot of ways, or whatever, but I think it's great. But the new season comes out on the Friday, yeah? Despite me, I'm not mega successful. I just have, like, a busy life, you know what I mean? Like most people. But I will end up watching, it's like 10 episodes per season, probably like 35 minutes. I'll end up watching probably 4 or 5 of those episodes just on the weekend. By the following week, I would have finished all 10 episodes. And then, it doesn't matter how the quality of the TV show, whether it's a crap season or a good season. Either way, I would have finished the season in a week.
Yeah.
And then, like, my hype surrounding it is just, it's gone then. And whether I've enjoyed it or not, I'll probably talk about it or whatever. But this is why I feel like their Netflix have cut undone. I'm surprised they haven't done it with Cobra Kai, but I think it's probably because it's only 35 minutes. Is they've done that Stranger Things when they broke it into 2 volumes.
Yeah.
Apparently that as well because the CGI wasn't finished.
I watched a TV show called Arcane on Netflix. It's a really good TV show. I think everyone should watch it.
Is that the League of Legends one?
It's the League of Legends. Never played the game, but the TV show is brilliant. But they released acts. So there was 9 episodes, and there's 3 episodes per act. So they released it an act every sort of I want to say month, but I think that was too long. I think it was maybe every 3 weeks or something like that. but it was a good thing because you got like because it was released in acts. You got like first episode is the beginning of the act, then you got second episode middle of the act, and third episode was the end of the act. So you got like a full, middle, beginning, and an end, or beginning, middle, and the end, should I say? And you get that, and you sort of get like a complete. It's kind of like you've watched a little film, and you've watched part one of a trilogy, and I quite like the way that they released that because it gave you the closure, it gave you something to binge, right, and it gave you a great show, right, and then because of you got the second act, you still got something to look forward to and speculate over. So it was quite nice the way they did that. And it's a shame, to be fair. I would have loved to have done an episode on Arcane, but I feel like we missed the boat because that came out like over a year or so ago, and we haven't been podcasting that long. But for Arcane season 2, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch like season 1 to catch up. My favourite thing about Arcane, despite not watching it, is, and Kieran probably even more so agrees with this.
I know where you're going.
Imagine Dragons enemy is like in it, and it's why it's the music video on the YouTube. Watch Imagine Dragons.
And we listened to it live, didn't we? And it was sick.
It was fucking amazing.
Remember the bit when he turns around on the stage?
And I was speaking of Jack, guys. Fucking Dan Reynolds is low-key jacked. See his lads. No homo. But so that's kind of my moment of the week. And as again, I said a bit of a sizzle reel. Me and Kieran have we're playing co-op off and on Dying Light 2. And again, in typical us fashion, I know it came out in February. We'll probably end up doing it in an episode, like not this episode, and the next episode. I'm probably, I'm going to go ahead and presume for both of us, because I know Kieran's in a similar spot in the narrative at the moment, in the main story, that we're probably about quarter way through, or halfway, or just under halfway maybe in the main story. I'm just going to guess. And I already have a lot to say about the game, like a hell of a lot.
I mean, I'm for my moment of the week, I'm gonna say Dying Light 2 because me and you haven't actually spent quality time with each other for like a month or so now. Like I came down yours, we went to see. Well, no, we didn't go to cinema, did we? But we haven't really spoken since we did the Bullet Train episode, right? Because you've just been like so busy. I've been really busy as well, right? So we've only recently started like jumping back on the PlayStation and playing with each other. Like
usually we'd have an hour or so each week, probably 2 hours playing PlayStation, whether it would be Apex or whether it would just be something random. We'd have a catch up on that. It would just been pure business and texting. Pure
hashtag adulting. But yeah, Dying Light, we played it a while ago, and the beginning of the game, I'll say as little as I can, but enough just to give you a little tease. But the beginning of the game is absolutely ass. It's so boring. It's so slow. You can't do anything. It's not fun. It's fucking shit, right? And then Mikey started playing a bit when he had some free time, and he was like, "Kieran, you need to get back on it because I've got past this point, and I'm actually enjoying myself now. I've leveled up my stamina and I've leveled up my skills and stuff, so I can do this and that." And I thought, oh, fine, I'll jump back on. At least we can at least chat and have a laugh about how shit it is at the very least.
Yeah, because that's what we were doing. When the three of us played it with our friend Dykes, and I think to be fair at the time, I was dipping in and out of it, and it was jokes because it was so shit. Having a bad time. It was fucking, what the hell's going on?
Why did we spend money on
it? And it's why do you spend money on this? And you feel really underpowered. And then honestly, you get to a point then, especially when you're playing together, it is so fun.
Yeah. To be fair, playing together is kind of broken because you can just one punch everyone. Because you one punch them and someone else one punches them, and then it's the double punch down. But playing together is absolutely underrated. It's the best way to play the game. But once you get into the main city, basically, that's when you start to get more inhibitors and stuff like that, and that's how you can perform a lot, play the game as intended, and it is a lot more fun because the city is more designed for parkour. And just unlocking all the different factions, abilities and stuff, and do you go peacekeepers or do you go the survivors? Do you want to be more parkour or do you want to be more combat? And it's and how it changes and evolves the city around you. It's just I'm getting into it now. I'm quite enjoying it
It really
actually.
seems to kick up into gear, doesn't it?
Yeah, but that'll be as much as I say.
Yeah,
for
I
now.
think we will. If we do whether we do a full episode on it or not, I don't know. But it's definitely like we already changed. I've already done a 180 on the game than the last time
Yeah.
I played it, and like we've only like put in like I don't know 10 hours.
Yeah, I've probably less than that, but yeah.
Yeah, probably less than that.
But no, but one thing I would say is if anyone's thinking of playing it, it's not worth more than 20 quid.
I don't know. Yeah, I agree with that. Well,
I mean, if you're playing with friends, like, yeah, go on, maybe 30 quid or something. But if you're going to be playing it on your own, you've got a lot to get through that's a bit shit to begin with before you get to anything fun. And if you're playing on your own, you could probably burn yourself out. If you're playing with friends, you can like piss around and,
that's what happened to us. Yeah, it's like I got burnt out and pissed off it when I wasn't playing with it, and then I stuck with it, and now I'm having a really good time, like getting really quite into it. But no,
So there we are.
As always, thank you for listening.
Yeah, sorry this episode's a little late, but as we said, we've just been so busy. I'm like moving and different new job and stuff, so everything's changing in my life right now. So it's a little bit hectic, but it's fun and exciting.
I've had visitors, and like my parents came down, and like we've just been doing stuff like that. And like
you've been changing jobs and looking to change jobs, applications left, right, and centre.
I'm not saying we have like a million followers, but thank you for waiting for this episode. If you're like continuing to listening to it, each episode, it's greatly appreciated. And if you are a new listener, even more so, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. And again, the title of the episode, Reacher. Give it a watch. It's really good. It's really enjoyable. As I say, it's got slow pacing, so once you can sort of get over the fact that it'll be a bit slow to begin with, you'll come to love it and you'll really enjoy the show as it is.
Yeah, 100%. So as they say in the first Dying Light game, good night and good luck
for life. Good luck for life. But anyway, yeah, we will catch you guys in the next one.
Thank you very much.
Bye.